This week is Thanksgiving. What is Thanksgiving for you? Perhaps it's a joyful experience of being together with your friends or family, bringing that particular dish you enjoy making every year. I hear that green bean casserole is out now. My sister is outraged. Or perhaps it is a time of gritting your teeth and hoping no one asks you how school is going or whether you're getting married, as you struggle to avoid any topic that might start Uncle Johnny talking about politics. Or perhaps you plan Thanksgiving alone this year, grateful or not for the space. It comes in as many flavors as there are people. Like many of our holidays, it also comes with a lot of baggage. It comes with the baggage we gather as individuals, as families, and as a nation. As I pointed out in this month's newsletter, our myths about the historical events surrounding the first Thanksgiving have gotten in the way of the true potential that can be found in this holiday. Thanksgiving can and should be a holiday of radical resistance. Look at how much there is in this world that wants to keep us from giving thanks. If we're grateful for what we have, if we cultivate a sense that there is enough, we would purchase less. We would vote differently. We would feel less fear of the other. As grateful people, we might acknowledge that the relative comforts we experience are not simply a result of our own moral superiority or hard work, but also a result of the efforts of many others, past and present. But to get there, we have to get past all of the noise that surrounds that holiday. As our Story for All Ages showed us today, we have to be able to hear the crickets, even in the middle of the city. And Thanksgiving gives us a starting point. A holiday of radical resistance should be an invitation not only to be grateful on that day, but to seriously examine how we cultivate gratitude year-round. We get past all the noise with practice. And Unitarian Universalism is a religion suited to a regular exercise of gratitude. Henry David Thoreau once said, "I am grateful for what I am and have. Thanksgiving is perpetual. It is surprising how contented one can be with nothing definite, only a sense of existence." How would your life be different if you lived in perpetual thanksgiving and contentedness? What would this change about how you spend your time? What would this change about how you interact with others? Reverend Tom Owen Toll tells an important story he learned about gratitude early in his life. As a child, he didn't speak until he was about 5 years old. And when he started to speak, it was in full sentences. His mother told him, "There are 5 phrases special to me that I feel should be liberally sprinkled throughout the course of your life. They belong to everyone. They're words, Tommy, that mend, that soothe, and that give life. And whenever you're not sure what to say, either be quiet or offer one of the following phrases. Thank you. I love you. How are you? I'm sorry. Tell me more." These 5 simple phrases Tom's mother passed along to him are revolutionary. They express love and respect in a world where we are pushed further and further into fear and division. And I don't think it's by coincidence that the list Tom's mother shared begins with thank you. When we are oriented first towards gratitude, the rest of our relationship to the world around us falls into place. We need holidays, holy days, like Thanksgiving, that invite us to reorient, to pay attention in a different way. for a moment, ignore the outrage, ignore the fear, ignore all that is trying to distract you from gratitude. To help with this, we're going to engage in a small ritual together in just a few minutes. But before we do, I want to share with you the story of John Kurlick. John was struggling. His law firm was losing money, and he was going to lose the lease to his office. Clients weren't paying what they owed, so he couldn't make the payroll for his staff. He was going through a divorce. He felt distant from his children. He felt like a failure. In the midst of all this loss and sense of failure, John received a thank you note. The note came from his ex-girlfriend and thanked him for the time they shared together that New Year's Day. That simple act of elegant gratitude changed everything for him. He decided he was going to spend a full year engaging with gratitude by writing 365 thank you notes over the course of the year, one for each day. He started in January, and so he began by looking at his Christmas presents and chose one from his son. And here is the key point I want you to hold on to. Rather than just saying, "Thank you for the coffee maker," he reflected on the meaning behind it. He reflected on why he was grateful for the coffee maker and the son who gave it to him. In writing that first note to his son, with whom he felt some distance, he realized how much he had closed himself off from this relationship. After writing the note, he decided to call his son, and over the course of the conversation, his son invited him to lunch. And then, to John's surprise, paid back a loan that John had never expected him to pay back at a time when he really needed the money. Just opening himself up to gratitude in a concrete way shifted his relationship with his son. As John continued to engage with this thank you note project, he naturally had to move beyond gratitude for gifts to gratitude for less tangible things. A daughter's cheerful disposition, another lawyer's expertise, an employee's hard work. The change brought on by his year-long project was remarkable. John's life completely turned around, and he wrote a book about it if you're interested in knowing more. Inspired by John's actions, the first time I read this book, I decided to do a few thank you notes of my own. And at the time, I was living in Indianapolis and would travel about 15 minutes to get to work. So I made regular stops at Sonic Drive-In for the tea. And I was consistently impressed by their customer service and their excellent tea. So I decided, inspired by John, to write a thank you note to the staff. And one day, I picked up my tea in the drive-thru and handed over the thank you note. A little shy and slightly embarrassed, I was like, "Here." I avoided the Sonic for a few days afterwards because I was like, "Oh, they're going to think I'm so." Then when I did go back, I didn't go through the drive-thru, but I ordered my regular tea at one of the parking stations. And when the woman brought it to me, she said, "Are you the one who wrote that note?" She was delighted when I nodded. She thanked me for it, saying they'd never gotten anything like that before. I understood that I was being given a gift by being allowed to know how much my gratitude mattered. When we receive anything of value, small or large, tangible or intangible, and express our gratitude, that gratitude is also a gift. And we are blessed by the willingness of others to receive it. I came to understand how expressions of gratitude take a single, momentary experience of good in life and allow it to grow into something more, something lasting. And none of it would have happened if I hadn't written that note. So each of you should have a blank thank you note. Yes? Raise your hand if you don't. Gretchen needs one. Do you have more, Paul? Your challenge this week is to send this note to someone. And we're going to take just a few minutes, and I want to encourage you to think about who you want to send it to. Reorient your attention. Think beyond the typical. What person or group has done something specific that has impacted your life for the better? Can you think of someone you might never have sent a thank you note to otherwise? Take this time to reflect on who you want to thank, and I have a few pens if you would like one. Be specific about what meaning this person's actions have held for you. And so in this time, you can start writing the note, or you can just put their name on the card, or you can just reflect on what you will write later, but we're going to take just a couple minutes now. Raise your hand if you need a pen or a note card.